Welcome everybody to day 7 of Be a Builder. As you know, we are going step by step to build an app from start to finish. Join us every morning at 10 a.m. Pacific for a new video, share your progress on Twitter, and get a chance to win prizes. Alright, so for day 6, we learned how to define permissions for our app using profiles and permission sets. For day 7, we're going to learn how to add automation to our app so that our users have less manual data entry and a much more smarter automated process. All right, so for this, we have developer evangelist Heather Dykstra back to show us how. Let's hear from her.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm thrilled to be with everyone today to talk about one of my favorite subjects, automation. A key part about building out our automation is knowing when to use what tool. And for that, I like to use what I call the automation funnel. The automation funnel goes something like this. When you first get a requirement from your team, you think, can this be done with Process Builder? By asking yourself that, you've started considering the first step of the automation funnel. Most of what you'll need to do as a builder can actually be done in this step. If you can't do something with Process Builder, your next step is to consider a flow. Flows are really powerful ways to create guided experiences for your users with a custom wizard. This is our next step through our automation funnel, as it's better to use our Process Builder first, but flows are really powerful and a good next step. Our final step is to look at code. When Flow and Process Builder just won't do, you can still write custom code to automate those tricky business decisions. Enough talking about it, let's see how our requirements play out. We've had 2 major requests from our users so far. 1, they dread the manual input of start date and end date on every project. And 2, the account representatives want to better understand how many projects have been completed on each account. Let's take a look at what our automation funnel can do for that. Here we are in our app where we've got our projects and our accounts. Okay, this is pretty standard. What we've decided to do is our first thing is we're going to use Process Builder to do some quick automation around updating that start date and end date. Let's take a look. Here we have our completed Process Builder. We're triggering our process on the object project. And when it's new, so that status equals new, then we're going to update our start date automatically to today using a formula. And when a project is closed or canceled, like you can see here, we're going to update the end date, again with a formula for today. This is going to satisfy that first requirement, and it's done on the highest level possible in Process Builder. But we also really want that exposure to our account reps over which projects have been completed and how many have been completed on a specific account. In order to do that, we're going to have to look at other tools because Process Builder can't quite do it for us. We've evaluated Flow and decided that that's not quite right either. And so we've gone to our next step, which is using code instead. So we can go check out the code that I've already written to do this. It's a quick trigger on project, and it's going to make sure that it populates the completed projects field with a count of related projects that have the status closed. Pretty simple. It's not too terribly long, and you can see down here starting at line 22 that this is where we're really doing the hard work. All we're doing is saying, okay, let's look at every account, and if there's a project that's in the status closed, then we're going to add one to our completed project field. And then after we've looped through it all, we're going to quickly update that account map, which basically is saying we're going to update all of the accounts with proper numbers. So let's go see this in action. Let's start by creating a brand new project. Project new. We're going to create it in status new, and we're going to assign it to, say, Grand Hotels Resorts Ltd. We're going to go ahead and hit save, and our project was created. And you can see, right like that, our start date is automatically populated with today. That was super easy. Our next step in checking everything works is to put our status into closed, because we know that this is supposed to populate our end date based on our Process Builder. Let's mark that as the current status, and it worked. Our status is now properly set to closed, and our start date is today as well as our end date being today. But only the end date was just changed, so that sounds like it's working just as we planned. Okay, but then we also want to make sure that we're updating all of our accounts properly. So let's look at Grand Resort Hotel. And let's scroll down and look here in our related projects field. You can see we have one that's currently in progress and the one we just created that's closed. So our completed projects __ C field should equal 1 on this account. Let's look at the details, and we can see right here, right on their main page, completed project is 1. There's a lot more we can do here. We can make that even more obvious by creating its own custom component and putting it on the side, or even just moving it up on the page. But this is a great start, and it's going to prevent a lot of the manual entry that's been happening. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, Rebecca.
Well, thanks, Heather. Our app for Astronomica is going to be so much easier to use with this new automation, because now there will be even less manual data entry, and that is always a good thing. So to summarize, I learned first that we can use automation to reduce manual data entry, create reminders, and just generally save our users time. And when we're thinking about adding automation, we should consider the automation funnel to decide which tool to use when. Lastly, the automation funnel starts with Process Builder, meaning it is the first tool to consider using when you want to automate a process. Why? Well, it has a lot of functionality and it is relatively easy to use. Then, if it does not meet your requirements, you can start considering tools like Flow and Triggers. All right, so now it's your turn. Take a part of your process in your app that you think could be made easier or more efficient through an automation and automate it using Process Builder. You can have it update a field or post a notification to Chatter. And if you want to go deeper on this topic, definitely do that by completing the Lightning Flow badge on Trailhead. In fact, I highly recommend you do this because guess what? This badge is also a prerequisite for the App Customization Specialist Super Badge. Alrighty, remember to join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Tomorrow, we will learn how you can add extra bells and whistles to your app through apps and components from the App Exchange or by building custom components. Be sure to catch up and join us for day 8 because also it's a Share to Win day, so you definitely want to join us and share your progress. All right, talk to you then.